Literally, I've been on TikTok for 6 months now. I hit 1 million followers like last month. I came into this with a strategy. Like, I've talked about this a million times. Like, I didn't just stumble upon TikTok fame.
Today on the Colin and Samir Show, we're interviewing Victoria Paris, a creator who gained over 1 million followers on TikTok in less than 6 months.
She did this by posting 20 to 30 TikToks a day, basically documenting her life as if it were a vlog, but doing it on TikTok.
The one thing I think that's really interesting about what she does is that her content can show up on the For You page, but then you click through and then you have this big library of all the content that was before and after that piece of content.
You can just binge her videos one after another. I spent an hour watching her videos and it only took me back 1 month.
That's crazy.
Victoria started her TikTok with a very specific reason in mind. After losing her job during COVID, she decided to use TikTok to drive traffic to her Depop store.
Victoria, as a person, is one of the most unique creators we've ever interviewed on the show. I've never talked to another creator like her. She's been making content for less than a year, but she already has her plans mapped out on how she's going to build a business empire, as well as a cult.
I don't want to have 50 million followers who just watch me all day and don't believe what I say. I want a cult-like following so that if I decide to endorse a brand, I actually believe in them and I actually will sell out their product.
She also has a really unique perspective on how creators should interact with brands as well as managers. I actually found that part of our conversation to be really educational and kind of opened my mind to what the future of creator business can look like. It was a good perspective to hear.
She brought up some things that I've honestly never thought of before, and it's wild to think that she's only been a creator for 6 months.
All right, if you're new here, we are Colin and Samir. We release this show every Monday where we talk about what's going on in the creator economy and have creators like Victoria on the show to get their perspective. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Our goal is to get to 300,000 subscribers, and it would be awesome if you could help us get there.
If you have any questions for Victoria as you're watching the episode, put them in the comments. She's also growing a YouTube channel right now, so hopefully she'll come in and respond to your questions.
So you're actually relatively new to social media, at least this version of Victoria Paris.
Yeah.
What was your relationship with social media pre-2020?
I was never really into social media my whole life. I never watched YouTube. I never was like one of those kids. I was a big gamer girl. I played Minecraft like my whole life. And when the pandemic hit, I was working at a finance startup and I was like, you know what, if I want to further my career in finance, like shit posting, which is basically what I did before, like just memes and shit was like mad incriminating. And I was like, maybe I should like go off the grid. And so I went off the grid for like 6 months and deleted everything.
But your impetus for taking up TikTok after that time off of social media, was that with a financial plan in mind?
I lost my job and I was like, I'm in debt. I need to pay off my loans. I have rent. And so I originally paid rent my sophomore year of college by flipping purses online. I used to like also refurb vintage audio and sell it on eBay to make money.
Vintage audio?
Yeah, like my dad's like an audiophile. So like we'd resurface like speakers and shit and like sell it on there. Yeah. And so I'd always been into flipping stuff. Like I love antiques. I love stuff like that. And so when my store died, I was like, it needs a little kickstart. And so I thought if I went back to TikTok, I had made one video on it like a year prior and it had like 80,000 views and I never made a video again. And I was like, I peaked. After having 1,000 followers in my life, I'm like, this app is crazy. Like, I'm not going to make another video. And I was like, if I could make like thirst traps or like fashion videos, then I could plug them to my store and make money that way. And then as soon as the videos started hitting, I was like, I could leverage this for like a marketing job eventually, like get paid what I'm worth out of college. And then I was like, wait, this is so much bigger than I thought. And I was like, I don't want to like dilute this by thinking about money at all. Like, if anything, like I don't have no clue where this is going to go, but it's worth something.
What were those early videos that started to hit that made you think like, wait, this may not be just a marketing job, but this could be everything?
Well, I think that it's not the videos. It was the array of videos that hit. It was like, I could do anything I wanted to and like people would want to listen or like were engaged. More so just seeing that like people were really receptive to me as a person. And that was really like lovely.
Why did you pick TikTok? was like out of all the social platforms.
Yeah.
Why TikTok?
All these apps are impossible to make it anymore, and TikTok's a high risk, high reward app right now. I think that like I got in right at the tail end, and I think that it's really hard to do it again. Right now it's almost oversaturated again. And so I saw that there was like this entry point. So I had slotted out my schedule for my last semester of college to have class for 2 days a week and work at the finance startup the other 3 to 5 days of the week. And so when I lost my job, I was like, the fuck am I gonna do for 5 days? I was like, maybe I'll marathon train again. And I was like, you know what, this app, there's something here. So if I threw myself at it 5 days a week, 11 hours a day for 5 months, no way I can't make something out of it.
That's interesting. Like did you have any hesitation around it being, I guess, quote unquote cringe, or you were pretty locked in saying like, man, a job is cringe. Like this, I don't
was
care.
So locked in. Like
I'll put myself out there and it doesn't matter. Like, if it doesn't work, who cares? Like
I hadn't met a single person who I thought was happy in New York, like that was doing something.
Oh, wow.
Like, and so like when I did all, for me, it was like, I didn't want to have a midlife crisis. So I wanted to start college and work in every field that felt relative to like my passions, so that once I did choose a job out of college, I knew I wouldn't be like, oh fuck, this is not what I thought it'd be. So I worked for a celebrity stylist. I worked at a startup. I worked as a personal trainer at Equinox. Like my passions are fashion, fitness, and finance. And so I did all those and realized, wow, they all suck. Like, so, and then what I really loved was working for myself. So there was no hesitation and no like me thinking it's cringy to do what I love.
Was there an element too though of like creative expression and like personal expression that you enjoyed, or was it more of I've figured out this app?
Yeah, like I don't view myself as creative at all. I'm not a creative person. Like if anything, I'm a consistent person.
I love that. That's good.
I wish I had that. Like I do. That's not me.
I actually think creatives oftentimes are not consistent, and consistency is rewarded in business. It's rewarded in algorithms.
Yes,
right? Like I'm amazed sometimes some of my favorite artists do one thing, like a graphic designer, they do one style of logo, and they do really well.
This crazy conversation the other day, and I was like, it does not matter how talented you are. Like there's so many talented people who sign the wrong contract and fuck their career, like, or who can't think to scale. Like if you're building any business, like even if you just want to open up one location, the goal should be to scale. So many people are talented, so little people have the tools to build a business.
Yeah, the consistency point is actually incredibly important. Like being a creative, and we always say like if you can't lock down the process, like it's not going to work in this career, essentially. Like if you don't have a process that you enjoy for creating, it's just not going to work. Like if it's unsustainable that you make like one magnum opus every 6 weeks, there's just nothing really there. And
but I also push back on that. And I say that if the process isn't elastic, you'll never last. Like it's like the Constitution is elastic for the world that we live in. Like if your process isn't elastic, you'll never grow.
Yeah, that's true.
Like for me, it's like I got down my process on TikTok, and then I thought about my process on Instagram, and I kind of like conversion rates matter and stuff, but like I haven't gotten down my process for YouTube, because like right now, like the worst thing you can do is set a precedent and not follow it, or like not like really like, because it's a business, like they're all revenue streams, and like I'm not sure what's the best, like what to align each app with. Like everything should hold something, if that makes sense.
How did you figure out your process on TikTok?
Because I used to work in like marketing and stuff like that. It's like in an ideal world, if you had all the money in the world, like you want to put out things and see what does well, take them back and do it again and continue that process. For me, that's how things work. And so when I was making videos, I was like, okay, I'll make a fuck ton of videos, see what people like, take it back, build the credibility in the numbers, and then like continue throwing out darts and seeing what hits, and then clearing the board and keep going and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the thing I was amazed at when I first looked at your TikTok was just the sheer quantity of what you were putting out, like your output on a daily basis. And it really did feel like this essentially fragmented version of a vlog where I was watching a day in your life, but I could watch it through multiple frames. And then additionally, the other part of it that was so fascinating to me was that you were interacting in the comments. Like you were actually there with your community.
Creating content, it's never been an issue. Like when I was a child, like you give me a piece of paper and tell me to write, and I could write forever. Like I didn't need to stop. It was, I always had like, I can like flow, like very much talk and create and make. That's never been an issue. It's just making it like digestible and like makes sense in 30 to 60 to 15 seconds is a skill. And also the comments was a huge functionality I saw people underutilizing. I thought it was insane that people with 10 million followers get like 100 comments and I was like, no way do they not read these and they don't respond to them. I was like, it's kind of fucking rude that all these people are like, where's that top from? And nobody responds. Like, you owe the people who put you in power like some kind of answer or some kind of dialogue. And I think that comments, like YouTube is a perfect example of an app that developed and totally ignored a facet of it that could have been a whole other beast. Like community, like YouTube is lacking in this community where like you sub and there's no risk or like anything. That's why YouTube's great. Like people subscribe to you and that's it. But like if you had a reason to keep revisiting the same video and chat forums and shit, like I thought that's been super underutilized on every app.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think right now though, like in this iteration of social, monetizing a niche community is possible today. When we first started on YouTube, it was like backed by the advertising business, which was just like, how many eyeballs do you have? Not how engaged are they or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so today it's much more like you could do, like you started TikTok with the thought of like, oh, I could drive people to my Depop store. Yeah. That was not a thought 10 years ago, or like even when these platforms, at least like YouTube, really first came about. And so I think that's one of the most powerful things today. And when I look at what you're doing, it's like, it is a community. Like when I look across all of your platforms, I find that people are so incredibly engaged with your content. And that's not actually the case across every creator, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the most valuable things today when it comes to monetizing is people who will actually act upon something you say or want to interact with you. Now, I guess technically that would be called influence. I know it's not a term that you necessarily associate yourself with, like being an influencer. How do you refer to this career?
Well, like I said from the jump, like I want to make a cult. Like I'm super interested. Like I was a history major in college. Like one of my favorite books is Parable of the Sower. I'm super interested in religion and like starting like communities and stuff like that. And I find that like with social media, like there's no like local allegiance. Like nobody shows up to their mayoral or whatever the fuck elections. Nobody votes for like their local people or whatever. So like constantly like in history, when you see like a loss in centralized religion or communities, you look for countercultures to find like belonging. That's why you see like crypto kids and astrology girls and shit like that. And I was like, I literally came out on TikTok recently being like, I don't want that many more followers. Like if anything, I want like 1 million followers on every platform. And I just want a strong community. Like I want other girls to like be able to find themselves in the comments and like find their best friends, which has happened a lot. And I want people to like trust me and like know that I'm a real person, because like I am a real person. Like I'm right here. Like I want people to understand that like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm just myself. I struggle. I have like great points, and like I want to share it so that other people can find a sense of belonging or like similarity.
Where does that passion come from? Is it from potentially like not having that, like when you're looking at content?
Yeah, or I just think like growing up, I never had like a sense of community. Like we moved around. I never had like a friend group, best friend. Like I never felt like this sense of belonging. Like I've always been envious of people who are religious or like go D1 for a sport or like have this like really niche character arc or whatever that like is their reason for living. Like I've always been jealous of that, and I'm always been like, what's my thing? Like what the fuck am I doing? And now I feel like I found myself in a community of people.
Quick break in the show to talk to you about the sponsor of today's episode, Oura Ring. Oura Ring records data like your skin temperature, your vital signs, and your sleep to give you insights on how to live a healthier life. Now, full disclosure, when we first started working with Oura Ring and I started wearing this, we ended up liking it so much that we actually invested in the company. So we are investors in Oura Ring.
Do we have to disclose that?
Yes.
You do, right?
Yes.
That feels cool.
It does feel cool. So let me tell you why we believe in Oura Ring so much. Oura Ring works with some of the top athletes and leagues, including the WNBA, NASCAR, the NBA, UFC, and Red Bull Racing in Formula One. So some of the things I really like about the Oura Ring, it gives you information on your sleep. And I feel like no matter what you're doing, whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, or creator, sleep is so important. Tracking it, getting a score, and understanding how you can improve it, that's really important. Now, additionally, Oura Ring gives you information about your activity and specifically about your inactive time. Like for me, working as a creator, we sit down a lot and we're inactive a lot.
The Ring is even just a reminder to get up and move around more often.
It gives you notifications, tells you when it's time to move around. And it also gives you these scores that you can share. Like we actually have friends who text us how their sleep is. And it's kind of fun to build this culture of just living a healthier life.
Like, hey man, how you sleeping? Well, let me tell you exactly how I'm
Colin.
sleeping.
That's how I'm sleeping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like an 84 right now.
So whether you're an athlete, a creator, an entrepreneur, or just someone who wants to live a healthier life, definitely check out Oura Ring. The link is in our description. All right, back to the show. Now, you said you held off on monetization, for quite a bit of time when you first started. Can you talk through that a bit? Like, was there immediate interest from advertisers and immediate opportunity that came in the door?
I was also making bread off the creator fund for a bit. That's why I was like comfortable with like waiting. I was making like $500 a day when I was like making like 20 videos a day.
Oh, wow.
And like, that's like good money, like that's like literally my rent, like was like, okay, like that can pay my rent. And I was like more confident then, but then that's why I held off, because creator fund was good. It's not great anymore because I don't make as much, but like, I don't care like about the money again. Any like really successful business operates at losses. Like Uber was taking losses up until this point. Like I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. Like like I need very little to live. I am so stingy. Like I would like literally had $100 in my bank account from the majority of my life for like 21 years of living. Like I was so broke, and I know I can live that way. And like, I was like, so why wouldn't I just operate at losses, or like until the right things aligned, until like it was just the perfect storm and then strike. But when brands started approaching me in tandem with every manager you can think of, in tandem with every agent you can think of started approaching me, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like, I won't move forward until I feel like I have all the information. You see a wage gap when people don't talk about how much they make. And I was like, tell me how much you make. I was like, I want to know. And I was like, how much does your manager take? How much is that brand paying you? Like, I'm so like very much like very transparent. Yeah. And so when I found out that like other people were getting like 20 grand on a 2-day deal, or like we're getting like, I don't know, $500,000 for like a 3-year long deal, I was like, shit. I was like, I don't care about $2,000. I don't care about $200. I care about 20 grand. I care about $200,000. I care about $2 million. And so when I started hearing those numbers, I took my first manager meeting. She's like, so how much do you want to make? And I was like, I don't know, like $300,000. Like that seems good out of college. I was like, and she's like, you're not, no, like that, that's going to take some time. Like that's crazy. Like, and I was like, wait, I could graduate college right now and get paid like 70 to 80K. Like at a finance startup. And I was like, if you're not like tripling that, it is not worthwhile for me to do that. And she was saying it would take like 3 years to do that. And I was like, I could just do a normal job and get like that money. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? And then my friends were getting deals for like 20 grand for like a 1-day shoot or whatever. And I was like, something's not right here. And then I took another meeting with other managers and stuff. And I was like, something's still not right here. A lot of these kids aren't optimizing. They're not operating and getting paid what they should. And when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And so I didn't take anybody onto my team, and I still only have one person on my team, and that's Kai. And because I read every contract, I read every email, I do everything myself. I made him CC me on every email that involved my name, because I need to know that he's working for me and working properly for me. Because like when you're building a business, the goal should be to scale. Yeah. So seeing my dad run his business, he optimizes businesses. He like bought a business and made it make more money, yet he cannot leave the business and have it make money without him. Right. So for me, it's like, I need to learn how to teach people how to work for me. And so with Kai, I'm going through this relationship. He's my manager now, where it's like, I saw that these other managers just wanted to alleviate kids and like take over their inbox and take any deal and make them like some good money. Like all these kids seem to make like 50 grand and just tap. And like, they're like, this is great. But like, I need to align myself with somebody, yet they weren't going to lessen the burden. If anything, they just needed to knock down the bigger doors for me. When you think about scaling yourself though, I think that's actually one of the hardest things to do, especially in this industry, because the brand is your name. Yeah. Even for us too, like it's Colin and Samir. So like if we have to be at this show recording, it has to be us. How do you think about how you're going to scale your own name? Well, like I could like just riff right now. How would I scale you guys? I'd put you into a bar stool kind of thing, and I'd get interns in here. I'd like fucking live stream the fuck out of it. I'd make a reality show out of it. I'd have like 7 different narratives going and 7 different kids that want to be Colin and Samir. Put them at each other's necks, make crazy content. You have content coming out the ass. Money, money, money. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, but not kidding. Victoria, you got the job. Yeah, you're now our manager. Yeah, you're our manager. But for myself, if it was scaling for me, it's giving the people, not the people, like I owe the people everything. I owe them, I lay my life down for them. But like what I am passionate about is business. I fucking love that shit. And so I can make content out the ass, but I would love to scale is to limit. And so for me, I would love to make content for like 6 months out of the year, and the other 6 months of the year, throw myself into the business side of things. I think that there's this entitlement to creators online, and that's why we see cancel culture and shit, and like where we own them. Like we own what they do, and they must report back to us, and they must answer that. And like I owe my followers an answer always, and like a piece of my life. But if they want to see me happy, it's me really entrenching myself in the business of things. And so to scale, ideally, it's like I want 1 million followers and everything, obviously, but like I want to run businesses. Like I want to produce an episodic and season formatting content, like vlog. Oh. And I want to like have each platform, like for me, Instagram's where you go to like see that I'm pretty and see my style. TikTok's where you go for everything, and YouTube's where you go to get like intelligible thought and realize that I'm intelligent. So like every platform has to have a really driving narrative and an amazing brand around it where people understand right away. That's scaling for me. And then going into Spotify, writing a book, growing businesses. Maybe I consult. I love consulting. I want to consult for more brands so that I can learn what they do and do it myself.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, when you think about diversification now and across platforms, but also across business functions and revenue streams, can you paint us a picture of the Victoria Paris business today? Like how much is brand deals? How much is now moving on to other facets of the business? And then where do you want to take that from a diversification perspective?
Brand deals, I would say, are the bulk of it right now, but I really want to like be getting equity in every business I touch. So like I totally blew up multiple brands and sold them out, and yet all I got was like there's commissions, which I don't do anymore. That's a small chunk, but good money. I want equity. I want to build my portfolio fat so that I can just chill, you know, and like retire.
Does that push you though to maybe starting your own brand?
Hell no.
No.
You don't want to start your own brand?
Hell no.
Really?
No. I would rather advise. I want like a finger in every pie. Like
interesting.
Growing up and seeing my dad run his own business and my mom's brother like run a restaurant and my grandpa run a restaurant and a business. It's like nobody has fun running a fucking business. Like everybody has fun sitting back and weighing in their 2 cents, 10 cents, whatever the fuck. Like in an ideal world, like nothing is me. It's just pieces of me.
Wow. That's pretty profound. I like that. I mean, I think though that even running a creator business is pretty intensive, you know?
For sure.
It's super intensive. And like the fact that some creators launch multiple businesses while being creators, I think is like,
but then they're
really
so shitty.
Yeah. They're spread very thin to do that because running the creator business is a lot of work.
Yeah, like for me, like Victoria Paris is my front end. My back end is my baby. Like the front end like can only operate for so long without like feigning for relevancy and like really doing crazy shit to stay relevant. Like I want to age with grace. I want to leave before I peak. Like and then have this back end. That's my life. So that's also producing or to mitigate that is producing an episodic or season formatting. Yep. Where if I'm like subjecting myself to the internet every day for 10 years, like I would go crazy like that. And so like if I just give them like six months out of the year instead of like my career will be so much longer. I'll be with them for so much longer throughout their life. But if I give you everything right now, like I won't be with you throughout your life. Like you will kill me. Like literally, like this industry will kill you.
I think sometimes too, like exclusivity like that, or even like scarcity will give you a premium when it comes to brand deals. Actually, like if you think about going and like
you can price gouge the fuck out of people.
Like, especially if you go like episodic on YouTube, where it's like I'm only doing it during this time. Even if you're off for 6 months of the year, it's like, oh well, we have to get in then.
It's all about structuring, and I think that's really interesting. Like there's so many different things to do. I also like ideally just want to delete everything like all the time.
Yeah.
And I do that periodically, and it keeps people like incentivized to come back. Sometimes I give people videos for 30 minutes. Sometimes I give it for 30 days, 3 months.
So there's something that we read about the Victoria Paris effect. Basically this concept that TikTok rewards creators who are skinny, white, and pretty. And I'm curious if you know about that and what your reaction is to that and as it pertains to TikTok.
Yeah, I was literally like couldn't sleep the other night and listened to this like 3-hour podcast about it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like
a podcast about?
Yeah, the Victoria Paris effect. And I was like, what the fuck? Because like I think that in the same way that people thought comments, like nobody was using comments, like people think I don't search myself up and read it. I read everything. I watch everything. Like it's my business. It should be my business to do that. And
I think we learned that
That's how we got connected.
when you made a video like dancing on top of our
I watch
podcast
everything.
about you. Yeah.
I read everything. Like not one thing goes unseen because like it's my business to see how I resonate. I care about the community and it's like shepherding it in the right way and like explaining to people like if somebody sees the Victoria Paris effect circulating and I'm not acknowledging it, like how out of touch am I actually? And so in the Victoria Paris effect, a lot of things that are discussed are that if you are like white and privileged and affluent enough and live in a certain area, like you can drive a creative or a successful creative front, which is correct. Like it is correct that the algorithm is inherently biased and racist towards like the beauty standard and like affluent people, but also the algorithm is driven by us. So we are inherently all, not saying that we should be, but like not saying that it's okay because it's fucking not. Like a lot of people are racist and fit the wanting to see the beauty standard. They engage with it properly. And so I agree that like the Victoria Paris effect sheds light on the fact that like if you fit these certain boxes, you are more likely to be successful in these apps. But also if you like break down it even further, it's that like if you find an individual who fits the beauty standard, fits society's like fucked up wants and needs, but then also like talks about their cooter or like their poop schedule, or like this is great, this is awesome. And so for me, I see the Victoria Paris effect, me fitting this trope of like what people want to see, and then also just like not that at all, like totally opposite. And so like I kind of see the Victoria Paris effect that way. I'm not sure that they agree online, but that's where I see it.
You've done some content where you talk about things that you're struggling with. How do you balance living your life, creating content, running this business? Like, are there things that you struggle with when it comes to being a creator? Yeah,
I think that like for me, like I have never been happier and I've also like never been sadder. Like the peaks and troughs are so crazy. Like the spectrum of emotions is so insane. Like one day I'll be getting canceled, the next day I'm like getting the craziest deal that I've never dreamed of. Like company I dreamed of working with, like as a fucking like entry level employee, and I'm getting like a brand deal with them or whatever, like doing something even bigger like with them. And so like that's crazy. Like the spectrum of emotions is crazy. Yeah, this industry is just really, really tough. But like I'm so glad because I was the most sensitive person ever before all of this. Like you could literally say something slight to me and I would cry. Like being subjected to so much like hate and like scrutiny has made me like such a tough person, yet I still want to be in touch with my emotions and I still want to be human. And so like this industry hasn't necessarily dehumanized me. If anything, toughened me up, which I needed, especially as a young woman. And I'm so grateful for like every fucking hate comment I've ever received and every hate video. But I'm also grateful for all the love. So like I couldn't be happier. And like I think that I'm just at this point where I'm like, okay, I have all the tools. Now what do I do?
Do you think your comment section is a better place now than it was like 3-4 months ago? And how did you do that?
The internet has turned to such a dark place because we let it. Like the fact that Addison Rae and Charli D'Amelio let their comment sections do what they did. If I had a 13-year-old kid and they went on the internet and thought it was cool to comment some of those things that they did, like I would literally like rip them a new one. Like you're not allowed to do that. That shouldn't be viewed. That shouldn't be normalized. And so I took it into my own hands and spent hours a day literally curating my comment section to create the conversations that are worthwhile. Because now I get one barely any hate because I, feet on the ground, finger on the fucking comment section, deleted every single hate one. You can create a discourse on your own page hating on me. That's your prerogative. That's the internet. Freedom of speech, bitch. Rock it on. Like, I don't give a fuck. Not in my comments. You will not. Like, I won't let you do that. I will create space for like constructive conversation and like a loving, safe space or whatever. Like, I love that. But like, it took a lot out of me to do that. But I did it and I'm happy with it. And now the conversation is kind of neutral. Like, it's like, everybody's like, just, I love you. You're so pretty. Because I haven't really shown much of myself again. Like, I kind of reverted for a little bit. But again, I want to like broach larger subjects. Like I saw this comment the other day being like, these montage videos you make are the best. Like I'm dreading the day you go back to your fucking delusional rants and your crazy conversations. And I'm like, oh, just wait, bitch.
Yeah,
like these
coming.
shower thoughts are about to hit different. Like, you know, like this is literally a safe space. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Like, I think that like the precedent that was set was so disgusting and negative, and that the app itself should have put it on themselves to control the conversation. Like we see Mark Zuckerberg in these fucking crazy government like meetings and shit, like being like, I don't know what I made. Why didn't you control it? And I've seen so many other creators do it now, and it's like, for the sake of like any other creator who comes after me, like I hope like to have helped them a little bit. Like,
I think it's definitely a good thing to normalize. If you think like this is your business, this is your company, and your comments are a space within your company, truly.
Yeah, you're not allowed to plague it.
Imagine if this was a physical space. Like in our office here, we would never let
nip it in the butt.
People talk like that.
Yeah, literally.
Like when you put it into a physical realm, it's like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I would never let that person say that.
Well, at the time, like people were like, this bitch can't keep blocking and deleting comments. And I'm like, but I can. Like, this is my full-time job now. This is my business. Like, I will make it my business too. And like now I barely have to do it. It's crazy.
What type of conversations do you want to happen? Like what do you want to spark when it comes to conversation?
Columnists, people used to like write in to women and men and whatever and answer their questions in newspapers. And so I do Q&As and they always hit really well because it's just like me and the questions driving the conversation. And so if I could have you write into me weekly and like I'm hopefully or maybe working with on like a, we don't know, but like in an ideal world, it would be like, you know, the Victorians write in and like every week we have like it's like a write-in and I answer your questions and we talk and I catch you up in my life because life's moving like this and I want them there with me. Like and that. You need a reason for people to sit on the edge of their seats besides a compelling guest.
Yeah.
They are the guest. This is about them.
I like that a lot. That's really cool. The Victorians, by the way, are your fans.
Yes.
Yes. I don't think we
the
contextualized
Victorians.
that. Yes.
People think I'm a fucking narcissist. I did not pick that name. I did not. We had a whole Instagram poll. We went through a week of Instagram polls and that was the name they chose. So I went with it.
It's not that outlandish in like today's social media landscape. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it makes sense.
I love it. The Victorian era. Bring it on.
That's good.
You mentioned a bit of like having dream brands that like you worked with. Can you talk about some of those brands? And are there still brands that you're like our North Star brands for your
like not like dream brands to work with. Like everybody always dreams of like working, like being a runner and like being an athlete. I always dreamed of working for Nike, but like it was like inconceivable. Like I don't know who the fuck works at Nike. Like I didn't know anybody. And so I always dreamed of like working for Nike or something like that. And like now, like literally sitting in conversations and consulting for Nike, I'm like, this is sick. Like they want to hear what a 22-year-old has to say.
Yeah, that's really cool. Colin texted me maybe a week or two ago and he was just talking to me about how you have some content that's like Team Nike.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that is so
aspirational.
Cool. Like Nike is such an aspirational
I think like
brand.
in our first company, our North Star brand was like, we just want to work with Nike. And they weren't even like in lacrosse yet.
Yeah.
Well, when we got to work with them, it was like one of the coolest, the biggest points of validation for us.
Victoria, any questions for us?
Oh yeah.
While we're still rolling.
Yeah.
So how are you scaling?
You can answer that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, a huge part of us kind of shifting into this format has been to allow, first of all, we love this, like talking to and interviewing creators. I think one of the best things in the world. It's like the place where we're the most happy. But because we've been in the industry for 10 years and we've built a career and now have kind of reinvented a new career, this thing is like so fulfilling to have ideas and bring them to life and just do it together in this space has been really fun. And we have a big mission to kind of educate and create a space for the future creators to understand how to build their business and how to create their own version of fulfillment out of this. And that's a lot of, I guess, everything that we do is through that lens, through almost like an educational lens. And we have recently gone into written content, which is something that we do. It's like a bi-weekly newsletter that we put out that's kind of educational in the way it covers the news. We do consulting with brands about how to work with creators. And we try and kind of immerse ourselves in this, in the creator economy in a way to support the growth of it as a whole.
right now what I've noticed with creators is there's no like Googling like, how did Olivia Rodrigo get started? I don't fucking know.
Right.
How did Addison Rae, like I had this whole like preconceived notion of how she started on TikTok that I just took and ran with.
Sure.
There's no conceptualizing how people start in this industry and like the actual roadmap.
Yeah.
But you guys do a really good job of
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think what I learned about you today, I could have never known.
Yeah, like I don't know where to put it. That's why like I love taking interviews and doing them.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is like what I wanted when I was first starting out on YouTube.
Yes.
I wanted to listen to how other creators had started because all you saw was when they were
in the press or whatever.
Yeah, they're in the press and you're like, maybe that's not me. Maybe I can't do that. But when you hear other people talk, you're like, wait, no.
Or it's like, they don't look like me. They don't sound like me. They're not where I'm from.
I didn't have that at all when I was growing up, right? Like my path when I was a young kid, like I wanted to be a storyteller. I wanted to be in entertainment. But in American entertainment, there was no one who looked like me. And outside of Apu on The Simpsons. And that was the narrative when I was a kid. Like that's who people connected me with.
Yeah.
And like now today, that's one of the, I think the most powerful things is whenever I get like Indian kids in my DM just being like, yo, how'd you do this?
Yeah.
Like it's super cool to see you doing what you're doing. Like just all that means is just doing whatever you wanted to do. It's
literally democratizing the tools, like like breaking people open and allowing them to connect, even though like we are whole people, but there's pieces of us that can connect and help each other. So it's really important to do that. So I'm glad.
So if someone is just discovering you, let's say maybe even from this show, like how would you describe your brand and what's to come?
I'm still not good at answering that question. Like if somebody's discovering me now, like it's just because I said something compelling and that you want to see more. That's it. And that what's to come is more compelling shit. So keep listening.
That's an amazing place to end. I don't think we can
add anything.
I don't want to add anything on top of that.
Snaps.
Amazing. Well, thanks
Awesome.
for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go get some vegan food, huh?
Yes.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks for watching this interview with Victoria Paris. If you want to check out Victoria on TikTok, it's Victoria Paris F. You can check her out on Instagram, Victoria Paris. And recently she started her YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. Just type in Victoria Paris to YouTube. So thanks to Oura Ring for sponsoring this episode, as well as just being a great personal health coach. It's really exciting to get better sleep and just be generally more healthy. You know what I mean, Colin?
It is exciting.
One more thing is that we want to be answering more questions from all of you, and we want to field them here at the end of our shows with our new segment, Comment Below. It's actually just a great graphic, so
we already had this graphic built years ago, and it's just so good.
It's also just great to hear the questions that you guys have, and we can answer them here on YouTube just by like typing a response back to you, or we might actually include it in an episode. So if you have questions for us, you can comment them on this video, and we'll answer them one way or the other.
All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, assuming you are subscribed. And we'll see you next time.
All right, peace.